What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be doing my review of the Reax Castor Gloves. So I've had these gloves for a while now, and I've put about 30,000 miles on them, so I've gotten to know them pretty well. So I figured it might be a good time to do a review on them. So first things first, I think it's pretty important to do a initial thoughts section. Reason for that is because I feel it's really easy to misjudge something negatively or positively when you first check something out. And these gloves in this review is going to be a perfect example of that, because I almost passed these gloves up. So I first saw these gloves online and I really liked the way they look, so I headed down to Cycle Gear to check them out. Initially, when I saw them, detail wise, protection wise, quality wise, and just the overall looks, I really liked the gloves. But like I said, I almost passed these up, and there are four major reasons why I almost did. Now, the first thing that stood out to me negatively was the leather wrapped knuckle. Now don't get me wrong, I love me a leather wrapped knuckle, but just touching it and looking at it, it looked like really thin leather over the knuckle. And I was under the impression that after a few bumps and scrapes that it was just going to tear, and there was going to be this ever-growing hole that's just going to reveal the knuckle underneath. And I felt it was just going to look really worn prematurely. The other thing that I felt was a negative was the liner on this glove. Now I'm pretty sure the liner of this glove is what makes it touchscreen, but when it's brand new, it's really slippery. Now the liner was acting almost like a slip plate, where it would cause the glove to move around your hand versus with your hand. The liner is not only slick, it's not bonded to the outer shell. So while you were trying to operate your controls, the fingers of the gloves weren't really matching up with the fingers of your hand. So it caused a really vague feeling of your controls, and it just didn't feel right. The next issue I had was going to be that protector that you see on the scaphoid. It's a semi-hard protector, it's kind of rubber, it's almost rubber-like, and it doesn't really have that much padding behind it. So I thought it was going to be a really bad hot spot. And then the last thing that almost made these a deal breaker was the fact that these gloves are so goddamn tight. Like, I can't emphasize enough how tight these gloves are. But besides all that, I ended up buying the gloves anyways because I really wanted to like them. Like I said, I really love the way these gloves look. The layout is awesome, the quality is awesome, the protection is awesome. So I bought them anyways. Now for the rest of the review, I'm going to sort of break down the glove into its components, because gloves are really complicated, especially motorcycle gloves, which would fall under technical gloves. There's a lot of things going on, a lot of things that need to work together to make the glove a good glove. First thing we're going to be reviewing is the leather. Now according to the spec sheet, you got cowhide on the back of the hand and you got goat skin on the front of the hand. If you want the full spec sheet, I'm going to put it down in the description. I'm not going to just say it because that's kind of boring. So if you want the full details, you can go down into the description and I'll put the spec sheet there. But like I said, you got cow on the back, goat on the front, and the overall quality is really good. You can't fake good leather. Either the leather sucks and you're going to be able to tell really quickly, or it's good. And this is really good leather. I'm surprised that there are no holes or scratches or anything after all the crap I put these gloves through. I mean, I drop them all the time, I've stepped on them, I ride them in the rain, and then I dry them on a heater, which I know is a cardinal sin of leather. I've even crashed in these gloves, and they're not torn at all. The quality of the leather kind of factors into one of the points that I said before, which was the leather knuckle. Like I said, I was really concerned about the leather knuckle, thinking that it was going to be a weak point, it was going to be too thin, the leather wasn't going to be durable. But I was wrong. Like I said, I crashed in these gloves, and the knuckle took a pretty good hit. There's a pretty good scratch in there. There's a pretty good scratch in there, and you can tell looking at that scratch that the leather is actually pretty thick on this knuckle, a lot thicker than I thought it was going to be. You can't even see the knuckle underneath the scratch, and it hasn't gotten any bigger, it hasn't torn any more. And overall, I'm really happy with the leather that's on the knuckle and the leather overall on the glove. It has a lot of good reinforcements, especially on all the high wear parts, so like the palm of the hand and the crook of the thumb. I really like that the pinky and the scaphoid have an extra piece of leather that completely wraps the seams and adds an extra layer for durability. If I had to gripe anything about the leather, it would be that I really wish that there was some extra leather or some sort of rubber caps or something on the control hand of your three fingers, which are these, the thumb, index, and middle finger. Because those are the fingers that see the most use, because that's where all your controls are, and you know, you're constantly using the clutch, and those fingers see a lot of use in abrasion. And I can already see it starting to, it's not wearing through, but that's where you can see the wear on this glove is. Now, that's not the fault of the leather of this glove. It's not the fault of these gloves. It's kind of a thing with motorcycle gloves. So far, I found that tends to be the Achilles heel of a lot of gloves. It's just the fingertips wear out prematurely compared to the rest of the glove, which really sucks when you think about it, because you pay a lot of money for a quality glove only to have the fingertips wear out and everything else be perfectly fine. It kind of sucks. So I kind of really wish that there was some extra leather there, or like I said, a rubber cap, kind of like mechanics gloves have, just to add extra durability, because if it had that, that would really extend the longevity of these gloves. But I mean, I could be wrong. It could just show that wear, and then it's gonna continue to keep on rolling like it has been. Now, I did forget to mention something about the leather, and that was the whole issue I had brought up in the initial thoughts, which is that these gloves are really tight. They are going to be painful to break in, and they do require a break-in period. Now, I don't have the manliest of hands, you know, I have pretty average hands. I don't have really thick fingers, I don't have big bear paws, and even for me, they were very, very, very tight. So if you have big hands, or what you would call manly hands, you may want to look into sizing up, because I don't know how well they're going to break in, because even for me with, I would say, average hands, they really hurt to break in, to the point where I'd end up with pressure point marks on the bends of the fingers and on the back of the hand, just because the glove was extremely tight. It was a pretty painful process. And for me personally, it took about 150 miles until their fit didn't bother me. Now, I did try to speed up the process by wearing the gloves when I was at home, and, you know, just opening and closing my hand just to stretch them out a little bit. But again, I can't stress enough, they are very tight gloves, but they do break in, and they do break in very, very well, and they fit really great once they are. Excuse the pun, but once they're broken in, they fit like a glove. Next, I'm going to be talking about the closure. There's really nothing fancy here. It's just a simple Velcro pull tab, but as you can see, it does have its issues. Like I said, the closure is nothing fancy. It's just a rubberized pull tab, and, you know, it does its job. There's no crazy adjustability to it. It's just pull it tighter to get tight, don't pull it as tight for it to be loose, and that's pretty much all you got. Nothing really to talk about. It does its job. It does it pretty well. Now, the first little negative I want to talk about the closure is that simply it tore. I don't know if it's a design flaw. I don't know if it's because it was faulty. I don't really know why it tore. I just know it did. But as you can see in the right hand glove, the tab itself is pretty thick. Then it thins out right before it gets to the base where it connects to the actual glove. Now, I don't know if it's because of that reason that it tore. You know, it could just be a weak point. It's the thinnest part of the glove, and that's the part that tore. I don't know, but it kind of sucks. Luckily, like I said, the thread is really strong and it's been holding it on there, so the glove is still somewhat useful. And the base itself does have Velcro and actually reaches the closing side, so I've still been able to use the glove. But just keep that in mind, you know, it's a possibility. I don't know exactly how I tore it, like I said, but it happened. I know most gloves have Velcro for the closures, so it's not something you can really get away from, but Velcro inherently has its own issue of losing its grip after a while. Now, you know, the higher quality Velcro you use, the more time you have before it goes bad. But in my experience with various different grades of Velcro for various different reasons, it does give way eventually. It's not really a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And with the closure, something that's being used constantly, it does wear out after a while. I could already tell that the closure is starting to give way. Now, it still holds the glove on there. I don't know if you would call it securely, because I don't know how secure it needs to be to actually hold on in a crash, but it does hold. It still closes the glove, and the glove stays, you know, somewhat tight, but you can pretty much tell that it's lost a lot of its grip. And that's my only other complaint. I don't know what I would prefer otherwise, you know, just maybe a loop and snap closure, or I don't know, some other variation of a closure. You know, it's not really something I can ding the glove for, because like I said, it's kind of the standard and you don't really have many other options. And that for me is something I don't like, because you pay a lot of money $100 is budget glove, but it's still a lot of money for a really well-made glove, only to have something like a closure fail on you. It kind of sucks. Yeah, you can wear them without the closure and they're not going to fall off on you when you're riding, but the point of the closure is so in a crash, you know, when you're sliding, the glove just doesn't come off. Now next, and one of the main reasons why I really like this glove is going to be the protection on these gloves. Now at the time I purchased these gloves, they cost me about $100. And for $100 you get a lot of good protection on these things. It's really hard to find, I guess you could say, budget glove, which for me would be anything under $100 with a good amount of protection. And this glove has a lot of protection on it for the price. So on the back of the hand you have the hard knuckle, and then after that on your ring, middle, and index finger, right after the knuckle, you have what feels like foam padding, which I don't really know if it does anything, but I like that it's there. Now on the distal parts of those same fingers, which is index, middle, and ring, you have that rubberized material on a long, nice little strip, which to me feels like that would actually do some good protecting. Like if you give your fingers a good smack on the ground if you fall, some good abrasion resistance. So I really like that. And then on the medial part of the thumb, you have another little perforated patch that feels like it has some more foam in there, which again, I don't really know if it does anything, but under light impacts, I'm pretty sure it'll save you from feeling a little pain there. Now on the pinky, you have that extra patch of leather which fully wraps the seams. Then you have two little patches with little foam backing, which is going to be good for if you low side, you know, and you slide your hand on the pavement. Again, I don't know what kind of padding it is, I don't know how much protection it'll actually provide, but I like that it's there. It makes me feel safe. And on the actual palm of the hand, the only real protection that you have is going to be that scaphoid protector, which is that rubber type material. Now I really like that material from a protection standpoint because it's going to give you some good impact protection. It does dampen vibrations of the handlebars a bit. Now I'm assuming in the slide it's going to help save your skin. So overall, the protection scheme of this glove makes me feel safe, and in my opinion, that's what's important, is how safe you feel with the gloves on, because what's the point of buying safety gear if you don't feel safe in it? The other nice little feature that this glove has as far as protection is going to be on your radius, which I really hope I'm using the right term for it, but it's that little bump on your wrist, that little bone that makes the bump on your wrist, that part. I don't know if you can see it, but it actually has padding right there, which was something that I didn't find in a lot of gloves in this price range. So again, in a low side, that's really going to help you. And right now that I'm talking about the protection, I want to talk about that rubberized scaphoid protector. I had mentioned that I thought it was going to be a hot spot and uncomfortable. It turns out that it actually isn't. I don't really feel it at all. I mean, when I put pressure on it, I can tell it's there, but not in a bad way. It just feels like there's a protector there. But the rubber itself actually started to wear down a bit, so now it kind of contours with my palm, so it conformed to the shape of my hand and my position on the bars, so it actually ended up becoming a non-issue at all. It actually wasn't an issue to begin with. I don't remember ever it being uncomfortable, but if it was, I have completely forgotten about it because I don't even notice that it's there anymore. Next, I'm going to be talking about seams, which is something that most people don't really think about, but they can really make or break a glove. Now the quality of the seams is threefold. First, you're looking at layout, which is double stitching where it counts and single stitch everywhere else, and these gloves really nail that. All the impact zones, all the high wear sections, they all have double seams, which is awesome. One, for longevity, and two, just in case you go down in a crash, you have those extra seams to hold the glove together so they don't just explode on impact and then expose your hands. Now the next thing is the overall quality of the thread, which isn't really easy to figure out. It's kind of something that you find out over time and with a lot of use. And I say that because manufacturers don't really boast about their thread material, because a lot of people, like I said, a lot of people don't pay attention to it. The only time you'll really hear anybody boast about their thread material is if it's Kevlar, which isn't always a good thing, and I'll get to that a little later. But so far the quality of this thread has been awesome. Like I said, I don't know what it's made out of. I'm not going to pretend I know what it's made out of, but I can say with at least 30,000 miles on these gloves, I do not have a single popped thread. I don't have a single popped thread. I don't have a single frayed thread. I don't have a single thread that's been worn through. Especially in the palm, where I thought was going to be the first place that the threads are going to start wearing out, but not at all. The threads are perfectly intact on the entire glove. Like I said, I don't have a single popped seam or anything. And another testament to the quality of the thread is that the pull tab for the closure of the glove actually started tearing. And the only thing that's holding it in place right now is the thread. There's nothing else that's holding it onto the glove. Now the last mark of quality would be how the threads interact with the leather itself, or whatever material the glove happens to be made out of. Now I say that because I've had a few gloves where the thread seems to be stronger than the leather, and it'll just start tearing the leather. It'll start tearing through the holes in the seams. That's why I mentioned the Kevlar, which isn't always a good thing, because a lot of times Kevlar is stronger than leather. And I've seen a lot and I've heard a lot that when you have Kevlar thread, it'll eventually just tear through the leather and you end up with holes. But not with these gloves. Like I said, 30,000 miles and not a single opening, not a single pop thread, nothing. So whoever made these gloves really knew what the hell they were doing when it comes to thread and leather combinations. Now we're going to talk about the liner of the glove, which I believe is what makes it a touch sensitive glove. The touch function of the glove works really, really good. I have zero complaints, and it doesn't inconvenience me, at all to operate my phone with the glove on. So I say it did its job. It's only going to be the thumb and index that have the touch function. You can do all your multi-touch functions perfectly fine. It's on both hands. Like I said, I've had zero problems with it. I can do my swipe password with the glove on. I can text perfectly fine with both gloves on. Not that I do it while I'm writing, I don't do that. I haven't had any issues operating my phone with the gloves on. I even, sat there and tested it, see what I can and can't do with the gloves on, see what makes it a little difficult, see if it makes it any more difficult, but I found that it doesn't, and it's a very responsive touch. Just normal pressure, operating your phone. It's not like some touch gloves where you have to like jam your finger through your phone in order to get it to work, which is really nice, because if you do have to operate your phone while you're writing, you're not going to be distracted by frustratingly trying to operate your phone with your gloves on while you're writing. You can pretty much not even look at the phone if you know where it is you need to touch. Now the only complaint I have about the liner, well, two complaints. One was in the initial thoughts with the fact that it was super slippery and it almost acted like a slit plate. And then the other thing has to do with an exposed piece of Velcro on the inside. Now I don't know if the strip ever had glue on it to hold it to the Velcro, or if it was just a flap there, but it doesn't securely cover the Velcro that's inside. So sometimes when you take off your glove, the flap rolls underneath the Velcro and then exposes the Velcro, which then scratches you, because it's the, I don't know what you call the hard part of the Velcro, not the soft fuzzy stuff, but the hard part. I don't know if it's male or female or whatever they're called, but the hard Velcro is exposed underneath, so you scrape yourself. Now, I've never severely scraped myself. I've never given myself any sort of abrasion. I've never drawn any blood, but it can be annoying. And especially when it's cold out, everything gets a little more sensitive. So when you pull off your glove and that stuff scrapes you, it hurts a little bit more than it normally does. Now I'm pretty sure I can remedy that by putting a few globs of super glue or fabric glue and gluing it together. But just be aware that that exists. Not really a deal breaker, it's more of a nitpick, because like I said, I can easily fix it myself. But there you go. And then I'm going to go back to the initial impressions issue that I had, which was the glove liner being extremely slippery. So that's not an issue at all anymore. Like all the other issues, it has completely remedied itself after the breaking period, especially since the foam under the knuckle is contoured to my actual knuckles, so it's kind of anchored there. But yeah, it's not an issue anymore. So if you're in the market for these gloves and they pique your interest, I don't think you'll be disappointed with them. The quality is there, the protection is there, the details are there, and added in the little touch function. It's a perfect glove, especially for commuters. Day in, day out, this glove has performed everything that it said it would. And judging by the one crash I had in them, they protected me. So this is almost a perfect glove. I don't feel bad. I don't feel gypped. I don't feel wanting more for my $100 that I spent on these gloves. I really like the glove. I recommend it. And as long as they keep making it, I don't really think I need to look for another daily glove. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you found this review useful. I hope that you liked the video. If you did like the video, don't forget to hit that little like button, smack that subscribe button if you like what I'm doing here on the channel and you want to see more of it. And don't forget to hit that little bell icon so hopefully you do get notified when I upload a video. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later. Have our Velcro coat, our Velcro coat, our Velcro coat, our Velcro coat, our Velcro closures.